with Palestinian affairs analyst Osama Nazzal. He is in Jenin. Osama, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to get to that international reaction shortly and your response to it. But as someone who is in the city of Jenin right now, just tell us what you've been experiencing and what people there are saying about what's been happening in the last not even 24 hours.
Yeah, it is really an all-out war by the Israeli occupation military against the Palestinians of Jenin and its refugee camp. And of course, when we are talking about the citizens of Jenin and its refugee camp, we are not talking about military force. We don't have a Palestinian military force to defend the city against the Israeli aggressors. We are talking about a number of Palestinian young men with light weapons like rifles and guns that can't be compared to the military power that the Israeli occupation government is using against the Palestinians of Jenin and its refugee camp. We are talking about drones, about Apache helicopters, about tanks, bulldozers, Israeli snipers with the latest guns and weapons for the refugee camp, which is not more than half a kilometers area. So we are talking about a real massacre, a real pogrom committed upon orders by the top officials of the Israeli occupation government, not for security reasons for sure, but for political reasons and for political agenda that is put on the table of the current rightist extremist Israeli occupation government.
And of course, this we're also seeing Israeli settler expansion into the occupied West Bank. Israel was saying that this was a counter-terrorism operation, but we're seeing more groups now in Jenin. You speak about those young men who are mobilizing, and Israel talks about counter-terrorism, but their actions, are they possibly actually forcing these young men to mobilize, to take action and to take matters into their own hands because they don't feel like anybody is actually looking out for them?
Yeah. First of all, the Palestinian people are living under military Israeli occupation, and any people living under occupation has the right, according to the international law and the international legitimacy, to use all forms of resistance to liberate their land and to achieve their freedom and live in justice and statehood. So the Palestinians are fighting for their statehood, and this is recognized by the United Nations and by the whole world. So when we talk about the Palestinian resistance in the occupied Palestinian territory, we are not talking about terrorism. We are talking about a fight for freedom and for justice. According to the international law and to the United Nations, the worst form of terrorism is the occupation of the land of the others by force. And this is what Israel is doing now. It is occupying the Palestinian land, building Israeli settlements, and transferring its civilian citizens from Israel to live in these settlements, and at the same time murdering the Palestinians and demolishing their homes. And this is the real terrorism that goes in line with the United Nations definition. So Israel is the terrorist state, not the Palestinians.
And once again, Osama, we're getting international condemnation. The last time there were deaths in Jenin, the UN spoke out, the US spoke out, but it really seems to be just a lot of talk and little to no action here.
And we always say that what we have from the international community, whether from the United Nations, the Europeans, the United States, is not more than much cry, little wall. They talk a lot, but they do nothing on the ground. And we know that this Israeli aggression against the Palestinian citizens of Jenin today is placed by the American administration, as Israel informed the Americans before it started this aggression. So silence is complicity. The Americans are supporting and collaborating with Israel against the Palestinians, despite the fact that Israel is destroying the project that was placed by the Americans and by the international community, which is the establishment of the Palestinian Authority as an interim body towards building the Palestinian statehood on the land occupied in 1967. So Israel is destroying the Palestinians and is destroying the project that was placed and started by the whole world in order to put an end to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So what's happening is really can't be imagined and can't be accepted. And all that I can say is that the Palestinians in Jenin and other areas in the occupied territory are left alone to face their fate against one of the strongest military powers in the Middle East.
Osama Nazzal, appreciate your insight live to us there from Jenin. Thank you so much, Osama.